All right, so if you guys have been paying attention to the Star Wars franchise in the last couple of years, I'm sure you will have noticed that the popularity amongst its fan base and critics has been on a decline. Now, the real reason for that is just basically how leadership has handled the last three movies, the last trilogy. For the exception of Rogue One, which is a more of a critical success due to the fact that it went kind of against a lot of the regular Star Wars tropes and was basically a singular movie where everything was resolved basically in one moment and answered a big question for us. The other three movies, including even Solo, the fourth movie, did not resonate with critics and fans alike. And between the second and third movie, it was almost painfully obvious that leadership never had a roadmap for how they were going to handle the trilogy. And so, with that said, obviously, when Disney announced that they were going to be doing The Mandalorian on a Disney Plus exclusivity, there was a lot of rumors going around that they were probably going to drop the ball. Now, if you don't know a lot about The Mandalorians, if maybe you've never watched it, you've seen two on screen if you've watched the movies, Boba Fett and Jango Fett. Other than that, you've probably never seen any others. But if you've been a part of the animated experience or you've watched or read other things on the expanded lore, you'll know that these guys are basically the Spartans of the Star Wars universe. They're super badass. They're a warrior culture. And when it's like, if you're thinking about it as the Jedi and the Republic, the Sith and the Separatists or the Empire, basically the third big faction was the Mandalorians and their warriors. And that's basically how that is. So for a lot of us Star Wars fans, just hearing that they were going to make something based on the Mandalorians was incredible news and a feat that honestly I think a lot of us believed that Disney was going to just kind of drop the ball on. So after 8 episodes of Mandalorian Season 1 airing, the answer to the question, was Disney going to do a good job, is an outstanding yes. It's been quite a surprise and quite a shock, but really nice to have that Disney was able to pull together great writing on really great 8 episodes of The Mandalorian. Our main character, Jin, that's played by Pedro Pascal, is a wonderful actor. He has a lot that comes out of his acting, even though you don't see his face for most of the entire season. But you get a lot out of just the way he's physically acting on screen, and all the side characters you just kind of fall for, even if they're only there for a couple minutes or only have a couple of cool words that they put in dialogue or in the mid fight. It's just something that was put together so well that personally it's brought me in, and it's brought, I'm sure, a lot of you in, which is the reason why you're even watching this to begin with. The Mandalorian was actually so important for Disney that on the day of the finale, when the last Mandalorian episode of episode 8 aired, I believe Disney lost like 9% of its subscribers, some crazy number like that, because literally The Mandalorian was done and there was nothing else that they needed out of Disney but another season. And so now we've come full circle and we've come to season 2, and episode 1 has aired, known as chapter 9, the Marshal. And so now the answer to our second big question, which is, was Disney able to recapture the magic, or did they strike out the same way they did in the original trilogy, right? We had that really first good one and then that really wonky second movie. Well, is this going to be the same crapshoot or not? Stay tuned and I'll let you guys know my thoughts. Before I go on into anything else, I just want to make sure this is going to be where all the spoilers start. I'm going to give you guys a little summary before I jump into everything else. So this will be your last moment before then, but after that summary, it'll be full spoilers on how the entire episode went and my personal thoughts. So here we go. At the end of season 1, our main character Jin is basically tasked with bringing Baby Yoda back to his people, which would be the Jedi. And we end up with the plan of action, which is our Mandalorian is going to find other Mandalorian who might know more than he does, and then try to track down some Jedi and figure out how to go. So that's basically what this entire season is about. And we get our first foot in the door in this episode. And now I'm going to go ahead and break down for you if it's something you want to stay tuned to watch. All right, let's get it. All right, you guys, welcome back to another TBG Trial by Gaming feature. I am your host, Nello, and on today's review, I'm going to be breaking down the new Season 2, Episode 1, also known as Chapter 9, The Marshal of the Mandalorian series. Now, this was a wonderful step back into the Mandalorian universe that they're still building up for us. And it was about a 54-minute runtime, so one of the longer episodes that we've ever gotten. And it was nice. Nothing felt that it was too rushed. Everything got the perfect amount of screen time for us to get massaged back into what the Mandalorian really has in store for us. So, as you know, last season our main character Din was basically told that he had to take our little baby Yoda and return him to the Jedi. And in order to do this, he was going to have to find other Mandalorians. So in this episode, we didn't see Cara Dune, who is played by Gina Carano, or Grief Karga, who is played by Carl Weathers. Obviously, those are fan favorites, and we'll most likely see them later in the season. But for the most part in this episode, we didn't see them at all. So at the beginning of the episode, we see Din and Baby Yoda on this underbelly planet that obviously has these creepy crawlers that are basically shunned away by light. And there's graffiti on the wall, and they're walking down the street, and they make their way to this basically gambling arena where they meet up with a gangster by the name of Gore Koresh. And this guy basically double crosses our Mandalorian. Big mistake. Beats all his goons in an opening fight, which is very fluid. I really like what they're able to do here, moving forward with just basically the skill of our Mandalorian. And he basically runs him down and hangs Gore up from a light post, at which point he's able to get his information on him. And the information is go back to Tatooine on a city by the name of Mos Pelgos. You'll find another Mandalorian. So he leaves him there, shoots out the light, and those little creepy crawlers eat him alive. And that's what you get for double crossing our Mandalorian. So he makes his way over to back onto Tatooine. And if you remember, there was a mechanic character there that he became friends with. And it's the same character, again, that we see here by the name of Pelimoto, played by the comedian Amy Sedaris. Now, he basically talks to her and finds out, hey, how am I supposed to find this place? Where is it at? How come I've never heard of it? And just basically, once the Empire kind of was defeated, we saw a lot of places kind of get either blown off the map or people left or whatever the case was. It was erased. But he had a general idea of where it was going to be. So then he makes his way out there with Baby Yoda in tandem, and he's able to find Mos Pelgos in this basically deserted part of the town. And when he gets there, he is greeted by the locals, and he goes into a bar, in which case he asks a couple questions, and before you know it, who do you think we see at the door? Well, none other than Boba Fett himself. Okay, no, so it wasn't Boba Fett. It was actually Timothy Oliphant's character playing a character by the name of Cobb Vanth. He's wearing the armor because he's the sheriff of the town. And before he tells Armando the story, they have a little standoff, and it's actually kind of funny how it runs down. It's obviously not Boba Fett because the armor seems a little too big for Cobb Vanth, but he says, why don't I buy you a drink? And as they sit down, he takes the helmet off, and immediately, as you know, Armando is like, wait a minute, we're not supposed to do that. You're not a real Mandalorian. Where did you get that armor? You need to give it to me. And so just as it looks like there's going to be a little firefight, we find out that there's this gigantic tremor-like thing. It's called a crate dragon that like runs up on them through the sand and the ground and eats this big banta, which is this giant ox-like thing. And it eats it whole and goes off with it. And that's when our character Cobb Vanth basically lets Din know, listen, I got this armor because when the Empire was defeated, there was a power vacuum, and this, these gangsters masquerading as this mining corp showed up, started killing a bunch of people, and I roamed the desert for days. And then who else but Jawas basically brought him up. And when he awoke, he saw that there was Mandalorian armor in there. Whose? Boba Fett's, which, leads us to believe that there could be more here with Boba Fett. We were told that Boba Fett might be in this episode, or at least in this series, so this was kind of our first real suggestion that he was legitly a real character in The Mandalorian. So Cobb Vanth basically was able to trade with the Jawas for this armor, and it's really cool because when you see Boba Fett's armor, in the jetpack, it actually has a brace covering where it was damaged when Boba Fett was launched into the Sarlacc pit. And the armor is shown to have its paint kind of coming off, probably from all the digestive fluids of the Sarlacc. But now what happens is, if you're wondering who this Cobb Vanth character is, basically he's a character from the novelizations of the expanded lore. I believe he was in 3 books specifically, so it's cool what we got to see here with such an outside character. Apparently these books were made like 5 years ago, so he's just a random character from a random set of books of Star Wars expanded lore, but yet here he is in The Mandalorian, so that's pretty cool. But they don't really follow too directly the same storyline, obviously, but they use a lot of influence from those books for this story. And so basically, as we were mentioning before, Cobb Vanth was able to get the armor, comes back, kills basically all of the mining core people, and is able to become the sheriff of his town to protect it. Now, our Mandalorian with his creed, it's not that he doesn't care, but hey, too bad, I need that armor back. And so they come up with a coalition to say, hey, you help me kill this Krayt Dragon, I'll give you your armor back, because that's the main reason why I even need this to begin with. So they basically, like I said, create a coalition and continue on with the story, which is to try to kill this Krayt Dragon. This is where it gets pretty badass. So as they're leaving to go find this Krayt Dragon when they're out in the desert, they actually run into none other but some Tusken Raiders. Now, if you remember, the Tusken Raider language is spoken by our Din character. So he starts to immediately talk to them. Nothing bad happens. And they basically let him know, yeah, well, this Krayt Dragon that you guys are trying to defeat, it's fucking with us too. We want it dead. So they form a second coalition with all of them together. And so they go and find this Krayt Dragon, and I'm not gonna lie, it's immense. We only kind of see a little bit of it when it first shows up on Mos Pelgos, but once they find it in the cave that it's in, god damn, it's huge. And it's smart. They lay out a bantha for it to come out and eat, but instead of eating the bantha, it comes out and eats the Tusken Raider that put the bantha there. And so you're just kind of left with, okay, so it's big and it's smart. And as they're thinking about how they're going to beat this guy, they basically come to the realization that they're going to need more people. And so they're going to have to use the people back at Mos Pelgos. But here comes the issue. We basically have 2 warring factions between Cobb Vanth's people and the Tusken Raiders. They've fought before. They've killed a couple of their own. And so that creates an issue. Why would they want to work with them? They're raiders. And so when they come back to have a conversation with the people of the town, we have this beautiful scene where our Mandalorian shows that he is a true leader. He lets them know, hey, listen, you're right. They're raiders. They're kind of savages in their own right, but they're also people of their word. And they've given us their word that if we do ally with them, if we do help them, that they will give us part of the spoils. And on top of that, they will no longer fight with this town if you guys are willing to help. And so then we have this sort of Halo 3-like montage, if you guys remember, where the elites and the Marines started fighting alongside each other, and you see Johnson come out with some elite guns, and you see the Arbiter come out with some human guns. Well, we kind of see that here, right? They're working together, getting bombs ready and other things, and massaging over some tension that happens. And so then we finally get to the Krayt Dragon portion of this. So they show up, and this huge battle ensues, and basically the plan is get the Krayt Dragon out, blow it up from the bottom of its belly, and we can go ahead and defeat it. But it doesn't go that simple. This Krayt Dragon is insane. I thought it was going to be tough enough on the fact that it's big. Well, not only can it go through sand, apparently it can burrow through, hard rock and caves and come out like at the top of its cave, and it shoots out acid. This episode was hardcore like a motherfucker. But anyways, we see people getting ripped apart, acid being spewed. They're doing everything they can to try to beat it. And when they're able to coax it out far enough, they explode under its belly, but it's just not enough to really weaken it. So now left with not much else to do to try to defeat it, our Mandalorian does the whole Boba Fett hitting him in the jetpack thing, and he sends the Marshal flying. Well, he tells him, "Don't worry, I got a plan." So he holds a bantha with some bombs on it long enough to get the crate dragon to eat him whole. At which point you're like, "Oh, I don't know if this is a good idea." Then our Mandalorian uses his rifle that can also send out electricity to basically taser his way out of the crate dragon, and then proceeds to hit the detonator button, and it explodes the bantha inside the crate dragon, blowing it up from the inside out, effectively killing it and allowing everyone to receive their spoils. Or does it? So basically what happens right here is, as we see him driving off in a speeder and we see the two sons of Tatooine, as it's starting to set, we see a character dressed in all black and a bald head facing our Mandalorian as he is leaving, and he turns around, and guess who we get to see? None other but Tamora Morrison, the original Boba Fett, Jango Fett. If you don't know, Boba Fett is the son of Jango Fett. And Jango Fett in the original prequel storyline from the early 2000s plays Jango Fett, whose basically genetic material gets used for all the clones that are used in the Clone Wars. But on top of that, he has one son by the name of Jango Fett, which is his identical clone. And it's just crazy to now see that character reprising technically the role of his son, right? Jango Fett now playing Boba Fett here in this episode, and he looks gnarly, man. He has this huge scar down the center of his face. It's obvious that he survived the Sarlacc pit, but it came at some kind of cost, because if you remember that episode, I think it might have been episode 6, where we see Fennec in the first season, the chick that does Mulan's voice. She also plays as Agent May in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, that character at the very end of that episode, we see somebody in all black wearing black boots find her. And now here, I think we get confirmation that that character was in fact Boba Fett. And it's so badass to see him. I basically jumped out of my seat because I could not believe that they finally made this character that, you know, we haven't seen in about 6 movies suddenly become 100% canon on a episodic show. And it's really cool because if we did see him in that episode in season 1, he's obviously not really leaving Tatooine, and it doesn't look like he was trying to go after the Mandalorian, but he seems to kind of be tracking him when he is there. So that does mean that we're probably going to end up seeing either a fight or some kind of head-to-head or some kind of conflict that's going to have to happen either on Tatooine or another planet. But it's so badass to see him and to wonder, is he going to get his armor back? Does he want his armor back? How does he play in the bigger scale of what is this season? So overall, for me, guys, this was a wonderful episode. It was very long. It had a lot of lore building. I love that we got to see kind of more of the background of what happened in the universe, right? Okay, so the Empire lost, but it wasn't just sunshine or rainbows for everybody. Places like Mos Pelgos got the short end of the stick and got totally fucked by other people that came in to try to, swoop in for the power vacuum that was happening. And so it's nice to see some of that lore building and to understand that this isn't the only place where that happened. There's probably other stories that we'll get in the future. And it's just super cool to see, again, deeper lore building. And this long episode, especially for how much they wanted to give us information wise, I think worked perfectly fine. And I do hope that moving forward, we do get to see more of these long episodes, though I imagine not all of them will be 54 minutes long. Again, this just had to kind of set up a fair amount and recapture the audience so that they want to keep coming back. And I think that this episode definitely did a good job of giving us what we wanted in an opening season of the sequel season to what was an incredible show. And I think this answers the question on, you know, did Disney strike out? Nope, they made it to base 2. So let's see if they make it all the way to a home run when it's all over. But so far, they are hitting this show with strides. Disney's definitely found a more or less comfortable place to be able to bring us a lot of content. And I love that they're pulling not just from old movies or other lore, but also the extended lore with Cobb Vanth. So who knows who we'll see in the future. But as I mentioned, this is definitely one of the best episodes that I've watched so far. And I hope that we're able to continue these strides moving forward till the end of this season as well. All right, you guys, so let me go ahead and wrap this up for you. This was basically a very long episode. It felt almost like a short movie that gave us everything we love about Star Wars. Obviously, our Mandalorian was the key focus here. We got to see Baby Yoda do some cute shit. And ultimately, our Mandalorian was shown to have a lot of skill when it comes to being a leader. Now, as you know, in the very last episode that we saw in season 1, we now know that the Darksaber is now something that's a part of this lore. And obviously, whoever wields it is the rightful basically lord of all the Mandalorians, right? So, you know, this I think is something that's showcasing the fact that Din can very well be a good leader. And again, great action and things like that, great fighting, a lot of beautiful set pieces set in something that felt authentically Star Wars. Now, with that said, let me leave you guys with one last train of thought. The Mandalorian is a show that is teaching us what a Mandalorian is, while simultaneously we get to see Din find out what it means to him. We saw this twice in season 1. The first time when he had an ability to basically stay in that backwater village with that one chick that he was really feeling, which, you know, I think they could have done that and I would have been completely fine with it. But the second time was at the end of the first season when he had to remove his helmet to basically be saved by the IG unit, which was super cool. It really showed us that, you know, he was really struggling with his own faith at that time and what it meant to be a Mandalorian. And it's really cool to see that he obviously in this episode went through a little bit more of that too, right? He finds Cobb with the armor and technically by his creed should want to kill him. But instead of wanting to do that, he works with him and understands that he's trying to do something for the greater good with Cobb. And it's really dope to see that, you know, it's not so stringent, it's not so strict to be a Mandalorian. There's his own creed that in a way he's trying to accomplish. So it is pretty cool to watch, and I hope that the rest of the episodes have, you know, a similar amount of authentic Star Warsness to it. So with that said, if you guys did like this episode, if you want to see more, I will be trying to play a little bit of a catch-up game because I know we're on, I think, episode 4 at the time of this recording, and I need to catch up. Or excuse me, I think 3 just came out, so 4 is coming out this week. All right, guys. So like, comment, subscribe, share, and as usual, you know, I'm going to leave everything up in my description so that you guys can find me on Instagram, Twitch, you know, subscribe to the Patreon so you guys can go ahead and help me grow as I continue to bring you guys new content. All right, deuces.